Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jet airliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome in Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. I'm Jim Poyle with you as always. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Hope your day's off to a good start. If not, we can get headed in that right direction. Looking forward to today's program, as always. Scott Agnes is with us. Look forward to talking to Scott. We were able to talk about a lot of things when he comes on. Indiana basketball recruiting, the NBA draft coming up. I think he is headed to the draft combine today. We'll talk about that. Plenty of other things. See what else we can scare up for you. Indiana baseball starts their final 3-game series of the season today at home at the Bart, as Rutgers comes in for a visit. First pitch tonight should be 7 o'clock, I believe. The weather should be incredible for that. Great night to be at the ballpark. Looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to getting home at midnight again, which that'll probably be the case. The Big Ten, they made a few bucks last year. They made a lot of bucks last year. How about $759 million in revenue during the 2018 fiscal year? That's an all-time high for any conference, even the Big Ten. It far exceeds any comparable annual figure for any American sports conference, college sports conference. That's a year-over-year increase of over 48%. The 2017 figure was $512 million. So as you can see, they struggled in 2017. I'm sure they could barely pay their bills. Commissioner Jim Delaney, $5.5 million total compensation for 2017. The revenue total, of course, driven by TV agreements that took an effect at the start of that school year and resulted in payments of roughly $54 million to each of the 14 conference's 12 longest standing members. Maryland and Rutgers received smaller revenue share amounts, but both schools also received loans from the conference against future revenue shares. Taking that money now. To give you an example, in February, the Southeastern Conference reported just under $660 million in revenue for fiscal 2018. That was an average of $43 million being distributed to the SEC schools. Man, that's a lot of dollars. The 10-team Big 12, they only brought in $374 million only. But the Big Ten, obviously, which has 14 teams, it's confusing, doubles the Big 12, which has 10 teams. Do you get that? The Big Ten has 14 teams, and the Big 12 has 10. Kind of funny. The Big Ten's new basic per school share means those programs receive more money from one revenue source than the vast majority of all Division I athletics departments had in total. More than 170 of the 213 public school athletics programs outside of the Big Ten reported less than $54 million in operating revenue for fiscal 2017. How about that? As for Delaney, his compensation total surpasses the nearly $4.8 million that the Pac-12 reported paying Commissioner Larry Scott in 2016. In 2015, Delaney became fully eligible for more than $20 million in future bonus payments, and those amounts started becoming part of the Big Ten's compensation, reporting on a new return. Not a bad gig if you can get it. The Big Ten's doing well.
I'm sure it's a tough job, too, for Jim Delaney.
Yeah. They've got to vote no on allowing a third assistant baseball coach for teams. Can't have that. Can't have you cutting into our $754 million. What in the world would you think? Shame on you. My gosh, that could cost them $150,000. My gosh. We can't spare that. Isn't that sad?
For the benefit of the student athlete?
Oh.
What about the benefit to me?
Who's the student athlete? What's a student athlete? Oh, yeah, that's right. Those are the people that we make our money off the backs of. Well, that's okay. Well, they're fine. How can these schools even... It's kind of disgusting, really, that they voted no on that. I mean, that was something that virtually every coach, every program was behind, and they were for it. They wanted it. They needed it. I mean, I wish we still had the clip from Coach Jeff Mercer, Indiana baseball. When that came up, I remember that was the night that IU played at Victory Field in Indianapolis against Ball State afterwards. And he was very, very disappointed. And he made it, no bones about it. Now, however, Fred Glass in Indiana, one of the few that voted for it. So got to give them their due on that. The Hoosiers voted for it. I think they were one of two teams in the Big Ten, but the Big Ten overall voted no. Cannot have them cutting into our big old fat $754 million pie. No soup for you, baseball coaches. That's ridiculous. Jim Delaney could pay for every one of those damn teams in the Big Ten out of his own salary. $5.5 million. But they can't have another coach. Okay. I do not, there's no way to understand and comprehend that the Big Ten voting no. There's nothing that is you're going to give me that makes that okay. That's horrible. Horrible, horrible. Why? I mean, it's better all the way around, especially the Big Ten, who's trying to grow baseball as a conference. They haven't had a lot of success at the NCAA level because they're mostly cold weather schools. Indiana's the furthermost southern school in the Big Ten. Indiana's had the most success in baseball in the Big Ten in the last decade. Why in the world are these other schools that are trying, would they vote no on that? It's mind-boggling to me. It's all about money. And yet they're making record shares of money. We'll sit down with Coach Jeff Mercer at some point, and that'll come back up. Hey, feel free to hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. Bill did, referring to what I just said. He said, and Notre Dame doesn't want to be a part of the Big Ten. How stupid is that? They're all about control, man. They are all about control. They belong to the ACC in most things now, but not football, although they have an agreement to where they play 5 ACC teams a year. The Big Ten would not go for that. Obviously, the ACC was more concerned about getting them in, period. The Big Ten says, hey, we don't need you. We're making more money than anybody. We don't need you. How incredible would that be, and how perfect would that be to have Notre Dame, to have had Notre Dame as a part of the Big Ten? The Big Ten doesn't care, though. South Bend, other than it being Notre Dame, which that's a lot, they're more concerned with New Jersey, getting that New York TV market, and Washington, D.C. with Maryland, because those are perfect fits for the Big Ten. They fit right into the Midwest. Rutgers came in as a bottom feeder, and where they still remain in major sports. Maryland, they've always had a good basketball program, but they still haven't been able to break through as a leader yet. Football, they're still a middling, like many other Big Ten programs. See if they can improve. Tim also hit us up on the text line. Says, looks like we got another transfer, Harris, wide receiver, from the same school as Brian Parker. Tom Allen. I'm looking forward to football season. I've got to tell you. Kalen DeBoer, I'm going to have to get him on the show. Looking forward to seeing the excitement. I don't think they'll be providing beer in the press box, but it'll be fun nonetheless. I think they're going to have an exciting brand of football this year. The talent is definitely going to be there. Man, they keep pulling it in. But when you have that much talent, there's no doubt that it's going to be a lot more fun. Now, of course, Tom Allen is still learning as a head coach. He'll be going into his 3rd season as a head coach. I think he's making great strides. Obviously, last year, I think, was a huge mistake not starting Michael Penix. And there's going to be even more of a quarterback battle this year. But I think he feels less pressure to start Peyton Ramsey than he did a year ago. Not really much of a choice when you've got 2 quarterbacks that physically gifted are better, physically at least, for certain. It should be an exciting time with Indiana football this fall. You got a brand new offensive coordinator, like I said, in Kalen DeBoer. We expect to see them doing things they didn't do last year, like make in-game adjustments, like throw the ball downfield. Hey, we've got a lot coming up on the show today. Scott Agness from The Athletic is with us. We got lots to talk about with Scott. Talk about Indiana basketball recruiting, talk about the draft coming up, the NBA draft coming up. He's heading up there today, in Chicago, near the United Center. Stay tuned. We got plenty more here on Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hi, this is AJ Moyer, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Boy, you know what that sound means. The Dreamweaver, our own good friend of the show, Matt Weaver from Peaks.com, the guru of IU football. Matthew, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
Good, good. Hope you're having a good spring. Are we ever going to have spring? Man, this weather is killing me.
Yeah, it's been brutal. It looks like it's supposed to get nice this weekend, but at least up here where I live on the north side of Indy. But it's been an awful spring as far as weather.
It certainly has, but it hasn't been a bad spring for Coach Allen and the Yanni football team. Landed another guy that could be a difference maker. Brian Parker. A lot of people compare him to Luke Timian or the Mitchell Page, that kind of a receiver or offensive output.
Yeah, I mean it's a preferred walk-on, which I mean obviously, people hear walk-ons and think a guy that's not going to do much because they're not a scholarship player. But a lot of these guys, Luke Timian was a walk-on, Mitchell Page was a walk-on, and to say that he's going to be those guys, it's hard to that's putting a lot on him. But I think he does have that potential. I mean, he's kind of similar in build, similar athletically. He's going to be that slot guy, and it's the best way to, I've said all the time, the best way to improve your football team is to improve the competition, and that's what this does. I mean, this makes everybody better. This kid's going to come in and he's going to come in like he is going to have a chance to start, and that's how he's going to perform, and that's how he's going to work, and it's going to make everybody else better on that team, whether he does or not. Even if he doesn't, a guy like that makes your team better just by the way he does stuff on the practice field and not in the games. So this is for as far as a walk-on, this is a really nice pickup.
And Coach Allen has really been using that competition to try to build this team. But you look at the quarterback room; you got some great quarterbacks that will be battling, and Michael Penix and Jack Tuttle, along with the incumbent Peyton Ramsey. But that you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's something that Indiana has not had a lot of. They didn't have that depth at position, so they didn't have that competition stirring in practice to pushing each other to get better. And without that, it's kind of hard as a team to improve without guys pushing each other.
Yeah, and Coach, I got the chance to meet with him in his office this week, and he actually kind of talked about that a little bit, especially on the defensive side of the ball. When he came in, you had Tigray Scales, and obviously Tigray was a fantastic player. I mean, he was an All-American, but there was nobody behind Tigray. And if Tigray would have been a guy that didn't really, kind of dogged it or didn't push himself, they would have been in real trouble because they didn't have, you didn't have, the old saying, the bench is the greatest motivator. And like Coach Allen said, so we didn't have anybody on the bench. Luckily Tigray was awesome. We didn't have to worry about him, bringing it all the time. But, now, if a guy doesn't bring it, he's not playing. I mean, there's legitimate competition at every spot on this team. And, the depth's never perfect, probably never exactly where you want it to be, but it's as good as it's ever been in Indiana, at least what I can remember on both sides of the ball, as far as each position and O-line, maybe have a few more guys. But, all in all, the depth on this team has really been improved dramatically.
Yeah, if you listen to the show, I was one of the first people to really question the hire of Tom Allen when that was done, but man, I'm also been the first person to praise what he has done, especially on the recruiting side. It's phenomenal. It's a great story at Peaks.com. Go check that out. In which Matt sat down with Coach Allen and talked about a lot of different things. Talks about how that the recruiting pitch is resonating because obviously it is. They're killing it on the recruiting trail. But he told us a couple stories, especially one with Tywone Mullen, that really was really cool. And it really explains on these guys that are coming in from outside of Indiana that don't have a connection to Indiana, to the school, to the university in any way, but yet are really connecting to the program and to the school.
Yeah, and for people, the Tywone Mullen story, he visited, and I think this was probably one of his official, I don't know if it's official or unofficial, but when Coach Allen was hired, he mentioned 50, 26, and 10, because that was in 2017. 50 years since Indiana had been in a Rose Bowl, 26 years since they'd won a bowl game, and 10 years since they'd had a winning record. And Tywone came in, and they were in his office, and he asked him for a piece of paper, and he wrote down those numbers, and told Coach Allen, we're going to do all three of these things when I'm here. And then he signed it and dated it and committed to him. And this isn't a kid that, didn't have offers. I mean, Tywone Mullen is one of the top defensive backs in the state of Florida, which means you're one of the top defensive backs in the country, because if you're one of the best players in Florida, you're one of the best players in the country. I mean, this is a really good player. I mean, he's a heck of a player. I've gotten to know Tywone a little bit through the recruiting process, and he has become one of my favorite guys that I've ever dealt with. He is a great, great kid. I think he's going to be special. And on and off the field, I think this is going to be one of these guys that Indiana fans are just going to love to root for, because the way he plays and the way he'll represent the university. And they did a great job recruiting him. And obviously comes from a good family. His older brother got drafted, last month. He's got a younger brother who I've heard is they think, that could be better than both of his older brothers, which is saying a lot because they're both really good. So, athletic family and great kid, great work ethic. And you can't say enough good things about Taiwan Mullen. Is he going to struggle at times as a player? Sure he is. But I'll tell you what, he is going to be, I think he's going to be a heck of a player for the Hoosiers.
And to point that out, recently Coach Allen goes to Detroit and steals one from Michigan and some other big time programs as well. And so that is really moving forward. And you also point out in a great piece, like you said, go to Peaks.com and see Matt's piece on this where he sits down with Coach Allen. But flipping Samson James, they go to Ohio State last year. They get beat by Ohio State. He committed to Ohio State. He's an Indiana kid. And after that game, he flips to Indiana, which – man, that's still one of the things that sticks out to me. I'm like, how do you go lose to a team where this kid's committed, a top program, and get that guy to flip? It's just a pretty daggone impressive recruiting job.
Yeah, well, and what that tells me is, one game a lot of times I don't think has a big. I would guess that obviously Samson had been thinking about that for a little while. And maybe when he went over that weekend, I don't know, maybe whatever conversations he had with Ohio State, maybe it kind of solidified the fact that in his mind he wanted to go somewhere else, to go to Indiana. And that's another thing in the story that Coach Allen, and I've said this on the Peaks board for years. It is easier in a lot of cases for Indiana to get a high 3-star, even a 4-star kid from the southern part, like Florida or somewhere, than it is to get one from Indiana, because kids in this state are growing up with the old thing that Indiana's not any good and why would you go there? It's kind of battered in their head, but down there that's not how the IU's viewed. They're viewed as, hey, it's a Big Ten school, that's big time, that's a great opportunity. So you got to still change that perception in state. I think they're doing it. They're definitely doing it. It's easier to recruit in state than it was obviously 5-10 years ago, but they still got some barriers to break through. And the only way you're going to do that, quite honestly, is to win some games on the field, make some bowl games, and then that'll change that perception. But this staff is doing it. They're doing a great. I mean, we talk about it. They are doing a fantastic job. You're not going to win every recruiting battle. In fact, you're going to lose more than you win. And that's the way it should be. If you're hearing yes more than you're hearing no, you're not recruiting the right players. So I think Bill Self said that, and he's 100% correct. So, but they're going to win their fair share. And obviously the 2019 class was terrific, and the 2020 class is off to a really good start.
Yeah, it's amazing when you have to go away from home to have more success. But you talked about that perception. But not only are they going away from home, they're going to some pretty hotbed recruiting places. I mean, they're drawing from some good places in the South. Of course, Coach Allen's got relationships from previous stops down there. They've really worked the Florida angle, which tons of talent comes out of the South. But for them to have such a higher standing down there, it's almost funny. But like you said, those guys have no perception. They don't see Indiana in this light of that light. They see him very highly. And so, but these guys are all looking forward to being a part of this change. It seems like they want to be a part of changing the Indiana football program. And you can't buy that kind of backing.
No, that's
no pun intended.
I think that's what attracted Samson James. That's what attracted Taiwan Mullen. That's what attracted Rashawn Williams, the guy that's committed for the 20 class. And that's probably the case for a lot of other guys. Going in and I get why a guy would want to go to a big school that's been winning, and you just kind of they put you in there and they plug you in and they keep winning. But some guys kind of want to be that guy that does something that's maybe never been done, or turn something around and build something up, from, where it was to make it really successful. And, that appeals to some guys. That doesn't appeal to everybody. And that's fine. You got to find the right guys for your program. And, that's what this staff has done. And they're not just finding guys who want to do that. They're finding guys who have legit options. It's not like Indiana was their best. In basically almost every case, it wasn't like Indiana was their best option or their only Power 5 or Big Ten option. These guys have a lot of options. They can go. Obviously we're talking about the big name guys, but if you go through the class, all these guys had options. I mean, they could have played at some other good schools, and they chose the Indiana for whatever their reason was, and it just shows how well not just Coach Allen, but his staff it's a really good recruiting staff. I mean, they're the foot soldiers. They do kind of all the grunt work, and obviously the plan comes down from him. But without them, this wouldn't be possible. And then obviously he's kind of the closer, as all head coaches are. But they work great together. They recruit as an entire staff. These players get to know everybody. And they really they practice what they preach: the family atmosphere, the relationships, and all that kind of stuff. They live it. They just don't talk it. And I think that's as he said, that kind of stuff resonates with these recruits and their families.
Everything is important when it comes to recruiting, including window dressing. And IU is going to have some new digs. They really upgraded their locker rooms for the upcoming season, something that the basketball program was able to do and some other programs. But now the football team's getting into it, catching up, and looks pretty nice.
Yeah, he had, and I think there might be some. I think there might be some drawings online somewhere, renderings, and they're probably not. Those were, I think, some of those were initial, so there'll be some slight changes or tweaks. But he had all these on these stands, all these pictures in his office, and it looks fantastic. And from somebody who knows what the locker room looked like a number of years ago as a manager, and to see it now, it's night and day. I mean, you're talking basically they went from a high school locker room when I was there. I mean, they had metal lockers. I mean, it was not good. And it's been improved since then, but this new locker room, this has now put you on par with basically your peers, a lot of your peers in the conference, the teams that you need to be on par with. And it looks like it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be spacious. And then it's not only just a locker room. They're going to have a team room. They're going to have I think he said they're going to have like a Pop-A-Shot and pool table, stuff like that. Stuff that those guys, when they're in there, they can hang out. I mean, that's important. That's where you build your chemistry and the team bonds, doing stuff like that. I mean, it seems, kind of trivial or not a big deal, but, you got guys hanging around and they start to form those really tight relationships and friendships and all that. And, that's when you play hard for each other. And I mean, that kind of stuff, it seems little, but it all adds up and helps build a winning team. So it looks fantastic, and kudos to Indiana. And obviously Terry Talon, the former IU player who donated a large check for it. Kudos to them for getting this done.
He's got a great piece at Peaks.com. Go check it out. Matt Weaver, man, I cannot thank you enough. We appreciate you so much, brother.
Oh, thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
Matt Weaver joining us as he does each week, keeping us updated on the ins and outs of Indiana football. Nobody does it better than Matt. We have to see about getting Coach Allen on here again. He's been on the show a couple times before. He's always been very generous with us, but what a hell of a job he's doing, man. I'm telling you, I was one of the first people to talk about that hire and how it probably shouldn't have happened, and it's probably still shouldn't have happened. I'm not backing away from that, from the aspect of the hire itself. I mean, you don't go hire a coach with no experience to coach in the Big Ten, but he's going to be an anomaly. He is proving me and everybody else wrong right now with his recruiting. Once that transfers to product on the field, which I'm certain that it will, I think that lack of experience really stuck with him those first couple of years. I think last year, a perfect example was not starting Michael Penix. But he's done a hell of a job, and I'm taking my hat off to him and congratulate Coach Allen and his staff, and hope they continue getting done what they get done. But what a remarkable job they've done. We've got a lot more coming up here on the program today. Scott Agnes from The Athletic will join us. We've got plenty to talk about with him, with the NBA draft, the draft combine, IU basketball recruiting. We'll talk about a lot of things, but stay tuned. We've got more coming back from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat back right after this.
to try and slide me down because I know you're right. So go do what you like.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Green. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle, as always. Little chili peppers. Always good to have a pepper in the morning. Yesterday, I noticed that 2019 NBA draft prospect and Indiana Hoosier Romeo Langford's team had a piece come out. I'm not the quiet, shy person that a lot of people think I am. which is kind of funny because it seems like that's how he has described himself before this. Which that's not a bad thing. But I think that most people realize, I'm not sure a lot of the fans do, but this is part of the hype machine, the pre-draft hype machine. Because there's been a lot of talk about him not being an alpha dog, not being a dog. And in sports vernacular, that means the man, the guy. Because that didn't show up, but they're trying to get out in front of that, just like they're trying to get out in front of the thumb and his 27% three-point shooting. The draft is coming up. We'll talk about that a little bit today with Scott Agnes from The Athletic. Be interesting to see how that plays out. Of course, the big news for the draft came yesterday with the Pelicans ending up with the number 1 pick. I'm sure that disappointed a lot of people in New York as, man, those fans were planning on having Zion. And from all the indications right now, the ability to pick Zion now for New Orleans is not swaying Anthony Davis into wanting to stay.
I'm disappointed as a Bulls fan because we stunk all year just to end up with the 7th pick.
Well, you didn't stink enough.
We stunk the 3rd worst in the NBA. I mean, it's hard to stink more than that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that rolls out. Now New Orleans has options, man. They could trade that pick. Or not trade the pick, but trade Anthony Davis and end up with a couple of first-round picks.
I've seen speculation that the Knicks might try to trade for Anthony Davis, and if they do that, they would have to end up trading that the 3rd pick. So
right.
New Orleans might end up with the 1st and the 3rd.
And that would be not a bad thing for New Orleans. But Zion just seemed to have had his heart set on going to New York. You know, he left quickly after that happened. Didn't hang around and chat and talk. He gone. The New York party did not happen. Scott Rowland was out of the ballpark Tuesday night for Indiana's game against Louisville. He is, of course, on staff for Indiana, lending his wisdom and all-star experience. But he's going into the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame, and Indiana recognized him on that. We've got a little bit from that. Jake, if you're ready, let her fly.
Yeah, it's a clip. The first part of it, he's talking about his previous connections to Jeff Mercer, and then he talks about going into the Cardinal Hall of Fame. So bring that up real quick.
Indiana players throughout the year. Jeff Mercer talks a lot about he loves having you on the staff because it's a pro mentality, and you try to tell the players to keep an even keel. Is that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the idea. I mean, I've always I grew up here in Southern Indiana, and I couldn't ask for a better upbringing than my parents, have given me. And it starts with Jeff and this whole group. These are good people here, and Chris Lemonis, who went down to Mississippi State, he left us with good guys. That's the number one. These these are good people that are good ball players. First they're good people first, and that's what Jeff always believes in. That's what I believe in. We get to do this for a very short time, but be a good teammate, be a good person, give back, and things will go well for you at the end.
And Jeff Mercer has a long line of history with you and your family. Your father, or Jeff's father, was one of your coaches in the past, so that must be special for you, right?
Yeah, he was. I know Jeff. It's funny. He's Jeffrey in my cell phone, so I knew him when he was growing up.
I heard he used to feed you the pitching machine when you were in the minor leagues, right?
He did. When I was in the minor leagues and early majors, I worked with his dad, Jeff. He helped hit with me and instruct me for parts of 2, 3, 4 years. I'm not sure exactly. And Jeffrey was always around feeding balls and picking balls up and helping us out. So yeah, I knew him from a very early age. And when this position opened, I thought he'd be a perfect person to fill this spot. And he's been great. This is his. This is his spot. This isn't a stepping stone for him. This is his job, that his dream job here. So I'm happy to be a part of that.
And now we're going to have to call you Hall of Famer Scott Rowland. You're going to the Cardinals Hall of Fame. What was that call like for you?
Yeah, how about that? That was I knew I was on the ballot the last couple of years, and get busy with kids and everything, and I get a call from the owner, Bill DeWitt, gave me a call. Of course, I screened it because I didn't know the area code and didn't know the number. And so I called him back, and he screened mine, so we were even on that one. But we did get together. But it's a class act. It's a first-class organization. And it's one of those things, Jason Isringhausen and I, going in as teammates, I think is going to be special and get to wear that red jacket. And it's one of those things where, he mentioned it, Jason did, when we were on an interview together. That's one of those. It's your kids, your grandkids along the way. They can't take that red jacket from you, and we were able to win a World Series ring together, and that one stays, and the red jacket as well. So that's a special time.
Well, Scott, congratulations, and thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Good luck.
Scott Rowland on the ESPN broadcast the other night of the Indiana-Louisville game, going into the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame, a member of the Indiana baseball staff. A little backstory there with his connection to Jeff Mercer, the head coach for Indiana. Always good to have connections, man. Always good to have connections, especially when they're an all-star player in your sports. Indiana's fortunate. They have someone like Scott Rowland around. They don't have to worry about that. It's not worry about that third coach thing, but it would still benefit them. I was talking about that earlier, that the measure that was struck down inexplicably by schools. I guess most schools don't want to pay the money. But the thing that got me is most Big Ten schools voted it down. And so the Big Ten itself voted it down. Indiana was not one. But Indiana voted yes. Fred Glass and Jeff Mercer went out of his way to thank him for that. Was one of two schools. I forget who the other school was, but the fact that I was just earlier talking about how the Big Ten this year raked in, or in 2018 rather, raked in $759 million. Far and away the most ever by a sports conference. And they can't vote for that? Really? What the hell is wrong with you greedy people? Greedy people. Jim Delaney, $5.5 million, but you can't have a third assistant coach that'll probably make $100,000 a year. Oh, no, can't have that. That's very disappointing by the Big Ten. Very disappointing. The conference that makes more money than anybody. They're the New York Yankees of conferences. And yet they cannot find it in their coffers to cough up a few bucks for a third assistant on the baseball programs. And the thing it is that, and I mentioned this earlier, the Big Ten is really, a lot of these Big Ten teams are really trying to upgrade their baseball programs. Baseball has not been a sport they've excelled at the NCAA level because most of them are in cold weather climates. IU is the southernmost school in the Big Ten. Well, that's Are they? What about Maryland?
Maryland probably is. Technically.
Jake, you have to look at a map. I've always thought IU was the southernmost school, and they were, at least before Maryland came along, but you have to look at that. I'm not looking at a map right now, but I know that's got to be pretty close.
I mean, I just don't have a map handy.
Yeah.
I'm not a pirate.
What? What the hell? Not a pirate. Google that stuff. I got to Google a U.S. map here in a minute. But if not, whether they are or not, they're right at it. But the point is, the Big Ten is trying. A lot of the Big Ten programs are look at Michigan. Trying to upgrade. One of the northern. They're really up there. But that's not easy to do for cold weather schools. Baseball's an outdoor sport, man. That's why you look at around the Sun Belt. A lot of the bigger, most prominent teams are in that Sun Belt. You California down through the Southwest, across Texas, Florida up the coast. A lot of the Southeastern Conference schools all excel in baseball. So it boggles my mind that the Big Ten, the wealthiest conference in all of college athletics, can't vote for it, at least vote for it. It wouldn't have passed because everyone else voted it down too. But this is something that every school was behind, but not every school voted for. Very few schools voted for it. But it's all about the money. All about the money. Very disappointing and surprising. Let us know what your thoughts are on that. Scott Agnes is joining us here today from The Athletic. Love having Scott on. We can talk about anything. Scott's well-versed in most things. We can talk about some IU basketball recruiting, talk about the new sports betting laws going into effect in Indiana, the NBA draft coming up. He's headed to the draft combine today. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. That's up in Chicago, near the United Center, but not at the United Center. Romeo Langford, the only Hoosier invited. The other three that put their name in the draft, Devontae Green, Al Durham, and Justin Smith, were not invited to the combine. And I don't know that Romeo will be doing anything other than measurements, as he's still nursing his thumb injury. I think the cast is off. It is off, and he's been going through rehab. But that will limit him from shooting or anything of the like. Hey, we've got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Scott Agnes joins us in the next hour. All that and more. Stay tuned. I'm Jim Coyle. We'll be back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hey sports fans, this is Lily King. Make sure you tune in to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome to the Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. I'm Jim Coyle with you as always. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things spinning. Hope your day's off to a good start. Scott Agnes from The Athletic will join us today. Looking forward to talking to Scott. He'll be heading up to the NBA Draft Combine later today up in Chicago near the United Center. Romeo Langford will be there, the only player from Indiana. Yeah, I don't think he'll be participating in many of the drills or any of the drills, but he'll be going through the measurements, this, that, and the other thing, the interviews. Saw a piece come out on him yesterday that looks like his people have got marketing people have got rolling out. He's not the shy person that people think he is.
which is kind of opposite of way how he's been portrayed up till now. But it's just draft stuff. That's that's his agents getting out in front of that and trying to turn him into the alpha dog. People want the dog, man. They want an alpha male. So they're trying to change the perception of him, which I don't know how you can do that through an article coming out a few days before, but they're working on that. But the draft is coming up. We'll talk about that with Scott as well. Some IU basketball recruiting. The NCAA, we talked about this yesterday. You know, they're forming a committee. I'm surprised Condoleezza Rice is not in charge of this. It's because she determined who we were going to play and who was going to play in football and this, that, and the other thing, because that makes sense. Muppet Mark Emmert and the powers that be at the NCAA are investigating ways where players can benefit off their own likeness, which they should. A perfect example, Romeo Langford's popularity in Indiana. How many number one jerseys do you think or zero jerseys do you think they sold last year? I don't know, but I mean, I'm sure it was quite a lot. The only people that benefit off that are the schools, while it's the players that make them popular. I don't know that it'll go down to that far, but there's just been some stupid things over the years. I'll bring this up with Scott, but I remember it was a long time ago when Steve Alford played for Indiana. He posed for a sorority charity calendar. They took a picture of him in Assembly Hall, and they put it on the calendar to sell. Now, he didn't benefit from it, and it was for charity. But he got suspended for one game for that. Suspended for raising money for charity by just posing for a picture. Now, that was a long time ago, but that shows you how idiotic and hypocritical the NCAA's foundation is.
Those type of dumb rulings haven't really gone away. There was a kid, I can't remember what school he played for. He played football, but he had a YouTube channel, and he got suspended for that because the NCAA said that was a money-making opportunity for him. So he got suspended for, I think, a year, actually.
Well, and then there was the IU football player that got wasn't it Fitzgerald maybe? That lost an entire season of eligibility because of a clerical error by somebody at Indiana. Nothing to do with him. This was a clerical error. And all the NCAA had to do was simply say, okay, this was a mistake. We've rectified it. Boom, no problem. Oh, no. You made a clerical error, so this kid loses an entire year of eligibility. They need to be kicked right in the junk when they do stuff like that. I mean, it's just idiocy. And then you look at the fact that the Big Ten just comes out. In 2018, they made $759 million. Split amongst the Big Ten schools. But they can't afford a third baseball coach. No. Hey, man, hey. Can't do that. Got to keep that money in-house. Maryland and Rutgers, they don't get full shares yet. But in the 4 years that Maryland has been in the Big Ten Conference, they have borrowed against future revenues $66 million. Were they in that bad a shape, or are they just trying to leverage the future on today? I don't know what they're doing. Rutgers, on the other hand, took a loan this year, their first, but it was only like $11 million. So Maryland's in the hole for $66 million right now to the Big Ten on future revenues. Now, if they get forever to pay that back, then hell, it's a smart move, which I wouldn't be surprised if it's not set up that way. But $66 million, as a matter of fact, they took a loan of $31 million this year. $31 million. Now you add their, I think it was $26 million that was their cut. Well, they end up getting more money this year than any other Big Ten team. But $66 million in the hole, man. It's a lot of bucks. Scott Agness is on the show today. Look forward to talking to him. Scott from the Athletic. Always great. He's heading up to the NBA Draft Combine later today up in Chicago. Romeo Langford, the only Indiana player invited to the Combine. Al Durham, Justin Smith, and Devontae Green had put their name in the draft, but they were not invited to the Combine. No surprise there. Scott Rowland, who was at the Indiana-Louisville baseball game the other night, was recognized for being inducted into the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame. He talks about the relationship with the Mercers and the Mercer family and how that came to be. You know, he's a Southern Indiana boy from Jasper. Right there in the heart. Pocket country. Is it the Pocket Conference? Is that the conference they're in? I can't remember.
Not sure.
But that's right in the heart of Southwest Indiana, Jasper. Big, big, big sports town, man. Always has been. German community. Michael Lewis is from Jasper. We'll have Michael on here in the near future. See what's up with him. But getting back to Scott Rowland, ESPN was broadcasting the game the other night, so they grabbed Scott for a quick interview. But let's hear what he had to say on that interview.
Throughout the year, Jeff Mercer talks a lot about he loves having you on the staff because it's a pro mentality, and you try to tell the players to keep an even keel. Is that right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the idea. I mean, I've always I grew up here in Southern Indiana, and I couldn't ask for a better upbringing than my parents, have given me. And it starts with Jeff and this whole group. These are good people here, and Chris Lemonis, who went down to Mississippi State, he left us with good guys. That's the number one. These are good people that are good ball players. First, they're good people first, and that's what Jeff always believes in. That's what I believe in. We get to do this for a very short time, but be a good teammate, be a good person, give back, and things will go well for you at the end.
And Jeff Mercer has a long line of history with you and your family. Your father, or Jeff's father, was one of your coaches in the past, so that must be special for you, right?
Yeah, he was. I know Jeff. It's funny. He's Jeffrey in my cell phone, so I knew him when he was growing up.
I heard he used to feed you the pitching machine when you were in the minor leagues, right?
He did. When I was in the minor leagues and early majors, I worked with his dad, Jeff. He helped hit with me and instruct me. For parts of 2, 3, 4 years, I'm not sure exactly, and Jeffrey was always around feeding balls and picking balls up and helping us out. So I knew him from a very early age, and when this position opened, I thought he'd be a perfect person to fill this spot, and he's been great. This is his this is his spot. This isn't a stepping stone for him. This is his job that his dream job here. So I'm happy to be a part of that.
And now we're going to have to call you Hall of Famer Scott Rowland. You're going to the Cardinals Hall of Fame. What was that call like for you?
Yeah, how about that? That was, I knew I was on the ballot the last couple of years. And, get busy with kids and everything. And I get a call from from the owner, Bill DeWitt, gave me a call. Of course, I screened it because I didn't know the area code and didn't know the number. And so I called him back, and he screened mine, so we were even on that one. But we did get together. But it's a class act. It's a first-class organization. And it's one of those things, Jason Isringhausen and I, going in as teammates, I think is going to be special and get to wear that red jacket. And it's one of those things where, he mentioned it, Jason did when we were on an interview together. It's one of those. It's your kids, your grandkids along the way. They can't take that red jacket from you, and we were able to win a World Series ring together, and that one stays, and the red jacket as well. So that's a special time.
Well, Scott, congratulations, and thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Good luck.
This is Scott Rowland appearing on the ESPN broadcast, the IU Louisville game the other night. Jeffrey. That's kind of funny talking about Coach Jeff Mercer. Knows him as Jeffrey, but it's awesome to have someone like that around the program. That can only make it a better program, and Jeff Mercer really is working to create that pro mentality. And they're doing a good job there. Indiana having a pretty good season, fighting for a Big Ten title. That fight begins tonight. Not only here in Bloomington, but in Lincoln, Nebraska. The Indiana Hoosiers host Rutgers for a 3-game set beginning tonight at the Bart. The weather is supposed to be spectacular. Looking forward to that. Michigan travels to Lincoln to take on Nebraska. Right now, the Michigan Wolverines with a 1.5 game lead over Indiana in the Big Ten race. That's on the heels of Indiana taking 2 out of 3 from Michigan last weekend. They will need some help from Nebraska. They need Nebraska to win that series. And, of course, Indiana has to win the series. But Nebraska has to win that series for Indiana to have a shot at the Big Ten title. But they definitely have one. Nebraska had not been doing well against Big Ten competition of late. They lost 3 straight series before picking up a big win out of conference, but a big win against Arizona State last week. Coached by former Hoosier coach Tracy Smith. But Arizona State, a top 20 program. Routinely, they're a top 20 program. And of course, they're in part of that Sun Belt that I talked about out in Arizona. Coach Lamonis, he left for Mississippi, part of that Sun Belt. That's where these programs that are traditionally better programs, they're all in the warm weather states. So Indiana's having unprecedented success. And it began with Tracy Smith, but it's continued through Coach Lamonis. It continues with Jeff Mercer, as they will be making the NCAA tournament again for the 6th time in 7 years. That's something the Big Ten hasn't seen happen maybe ever. I'll have to look, but the Big Ten is not generally having big-time success in the NCAA tournament. Part of that warm weather deal. So, and I talked about it earlier, it just blows my mind that they voted no on getting that third coach in. Can't share that $759 million that they made in 2018. We'll see. Scott Agnes is on the program today from The Athletic. Looking forward to talking to Scott. A lot to talk about. Talk about that NCAA likeness committee that was being formed. The NBA Draft Combine starts today up in Chicago. He'll be heading to that later today. Romeo Langford will be participating to a degree. Of course, big news in the NBA draft as the number 1 pick is going to New Orleans. A lot of New York Knicks fans are crying, and they've been crying in their cereal for the last 2 days ever since that happened. They thought they were winning the Zion sweeps. I think Zion thought that too, man. He was ready to go to New York. I don't think he was too happy. Obviously, Anthony Davis wants a trade, so why would he be happy? then there's the possibility of trading Anthony Davis to New York to get the third pick. Add that to your first pick. It's how teams are built. We've got a lot more coming up here on the program. As I said, Scott Agness from The Athletic joins us next. Stay tuned here. Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
You're bound to lose control when the rubber band starts to jam. Got that rubber band up on his toe, and then he wriggled it up all around his nose.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Hi, this is AJ Moye, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Well, you know you make me wanna shout, kick my heels up and shout, throw my hands up and shout, throw my head back and shout.
Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studio. Jim Coyle with you as always. And now we're grateful to be joined by Scott Agnes from The Athletic. Scott, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. How about you?
Getting by. A lot of things happening, of course, at the baseball game a couple nights ago with Indiana and watching them in Louisville. Didn't turn out for the Hoosiers too well, but always a fun night out at the ballpark.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I try to make several Indianapolis Indians games a year. They're always just a good time.
If people don't go, I don't think they realize how fun a AAA game is, because they are, because the competition is awesome. You see guys a lot of the times that have just come from the majors or are heading to the majors, and it's usually just a great atmosphere.
Yeah, and the latter part's the biggest thing I'm about. It's fun just sitting at a ballpark, being with a few friends or something. You can sit in the outfield and just really hang out. You can go and really have a good seat, for like $6. Behind one of the dugouts or the backstop, and it's just really a good bang for your buck here in Indy. I know that.
Yeah, that's a great little ballpark too, and they have that nice little bar down there in the left field corner. That's not a bad spot.
I think it's the best in AAA. It always has the highest attendance annually. That's for sure.
Certainly looks fun. A lot going on. The sports gambling law that just passed in Indiana, man, that is a huge change for the state of Indiana. Iowa just passed one, not as extensive as the one in Indiana, but just an unbelievable change in the state. Not only we got gambling coming, you got beer coming to Memorial Stadium. Man, is the sky falling?
And don't forget the names back on the jerseys. I don't know why they got rid of those in the first place for football, especially because with IU, face it, most of your audience is probably your casual fans. And so to get rid of that, I mean, you have fans that are trying to follow maybe a player from their alma mater or from their hometown or maybe just the star cornerback, let's say. And it's really hard for a lot of those to do that. So I'm glad they brought that back. I think it was a no-brainer and really probably 5 years longer than it should have for them to bring alcohol to the stadium. And that's going to be a nice revenue generator. And more than anything, you're going to make fans happy. At IU, and I appreciate it, they allow you to leave at halftime or any time with a pass out. Most people are going out to their cars, and the trouble is they may be more comfortable with their family, friends, and their drink out there, and that's one reason they don't return for the second half when the team really needs them.
Absolutely, and weird as it may sound, I've had so many people and confirmed that the studies show that the stadiums that add alcohol sales, especially in the colleges, their alcohol-related incidents go down.
Well, yeah, and that, to me that makes all kinds of sense because especially in colleges, you're going to have your students that are going to try to have alcohol legal or not, right? And so this way, assuming they're 21, they can go in there and without any issue get whatever they want, and it's no big deal. It's one of those things where it almost, by having a rule in place, you're going to have rule breakers. And so this sets them up nicely, I think, for people just to do what they're used to going. If they're used to going to a Colts game or whatever, a Pacer game, you can go there and get your alcohol, get whatever you want, and really have a full entertainment experience because that's really what these games and everything have become. It's not just a game, it's a spectacle or entertainment setting.
Yeah, and when Indiana starts winning big, which they very well may start soon with the great quarterbacks they got coming, that'll certainly increase the product on the field, and it'll just be a much better experience all the way around. But I expect that to come soon.
Yeah, and they were already doing alcohol sales for your higher fans, premium fans, I should say, in the end zone. So a lot of this isn't exactly new. It's just now it's making it more easily available for everyone else. And I think that's an obvious call. And then your first question, Jim, in terms of sports gambling, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I haven't heard for sure when they plan to institute it, maybe this fall as the earliest, and that would mostly most of the state would be interested in the potential online gaming app because then, the possibilities here are endless. Like last night I was watching that Bucks Raptors game and, maybe at halftime, who scores the final bucket? Who's up at halftime? For some people, that's one way they can become a fan. For others, that's a way they're becoming closer fans. For others, it has no impact. So I think that's another, when we talk about revenue generator, that's a big one. Likely in a $1 billion level here is what we've seen in New Jersey. I think through the first quarter, they took in more than $300 million is what I saw.
Unbelievable. And I think one of the things that they're wanting to work on, especially because Indiana is home to so many sports organizations, including the NCAA, the aspect of being able to make those prop bets, if you want to, for lack of a better word, but and on a mobile phone, they want to make sure that is not something that's going to cause any issues with the colleges and whatnot, because Iowa just passed a sports gambling law, but it does not include college gambling to my knowledge.
No, that's an interesting aspect. And they're going to learn a lot through here the first year or two. It's probably a trial or experimental levels, and then they'll figure it out. And much like anything else, it won't be any big deal. If you're a gambler, you want to do it, you will. I would guess it goes up a ton when you're talking, say, about the Super Bowl, maybe the College Football Championship and March Madness. But outside of that, I think if you are a gambler, and you've been one already, maybe even through illegal streams or a bookie or whatever people are doing nowadays, you're going to continue on. But I don't think this will create any bad situations like that.
Well, something that people would probably like to bet on right now is who's going to be the next player that Indiana lands from a basketball standpoint in recruiting, because they haven't done too well outside of the state, and a lot of the guys that they've tried to recruit. And there's some people are concerned about the recruiting, but I think that they're going to be fine. But it does, to me, says that a lot of these kids outside of Indiana, they're not viewing Indiana the way that they used to.
I think there's a lot of interesting opportunities going on right now, Jim, mainly in Memphis right now. That's been a fascinating situation to me, in that it seems like you got Memphis with Penny Hardaway, Mike Miller, two former NBA players, two name NBA players, just basically pushing the agenda. Hey, if you want to get to the NBA, if you want to play for someone who's been there, done that, can make one phone call and put you in touch with ex-NBA player, I can be your guy. And that message clearly has been well received to the point where they've lined up a pretty special recruiting class in terms of rankings. And to that end, taken a couple guys that I know IU was trying to get in on. Trendon Watford's an interesting guy that's still available, but I guess all the speculation seemed to point to a team somewhat in his backyard down at LSU. But that's a weird situation, right, with Will Wade. And then now this week you have the NCAA coming out with yet another committee, Jim, that they're going to try to create to perhaps allow these student athletes to monetize their likeness, their name. And to me, much like alcohol sales, I think that's long overdue. I'm not necessarily for paying players right out of the pocket of the university. I haven't changed from that stance. But let's take former player. If Yogi Ferrell wants to go to TIS bookstore and make whatever they want to pay him and sign autographs, sign jerseys, take pictures, I don't think there's anybody that should be keeping him from that, much like if I was a outstanding musician at IU's music school or whatever, I could go make money on the side as well. That's the one thing I don't like the NCAA or any institution getting in front of anybody's name, because Duke, Zion, I mean, how much did he earn for that university? Now, it goes both ways too, but still, some of that pie needs to be able to be shared a little bit.
Absolutely. I remember back in the day, I mean, this is going way, way back, but I remember the time that Steve Alford got suspended for a game because he appeared on a charity calendar. That's how ridiculous some of those rules are.
Yeah, I mean, what are we getting at here? And to that end, if Romeo Langford wanted to do the same thing, if you wanted to appear at Buffalo Louisburg, a charity event for a fraternity or sorority or local shelter, I don't know, what is it? Why wouldn't that be allowed? I mean, I don't have any problem with that. I know there's always going to be somebody that breaks a rule, and that's why you have rules in place to try to prevent them. But I have no problem with that.
And I chuckled, Scott, when you mentioned another committee, because all I can see is Condoleezza Rice running something else for the NCAA, deciding on this next thing, because the NCAA just doesn't seem to be able to get out of their own way on doing things correctly. They just always seem that they have to do everything as hard as possible.
Yeah, to me, it seems like that organization needs to be streamlined a little bit, much like other places, like the NBA collective bargaining agreement. I think that needs to be cleaned up and simplified a little bit. That's over like 900 pages. And so you got employees at every NBA team, let's say, they're completely charged with knowing the CBA front and back and how it impacts teams. And 900 pages, let's be real, no one's going to have that completely down. And so that just leads to more rule breaking and not necessarily intentional, for example. I mean, we see these universities report secondary violations, and almost all of them are just so minor and almost not even worth the ink that they're put on. But it is a rule that was broken, but it's to the extent, come on, let's simplify things. I'm very much for the common sense type of route. We all know what is a rule violation. You can't be giving away money. You can't be giving free gear. You can't be making exceptions for these guys, but there's things that you can tolerate.
Yeah, a strong-ass offer here and there has never hurt anybody. Hey, you follow the Pacers quite intently, and you're heading up to the draft combine tomorrow. We'll talk about that in a second, but there's been some talk about the Pacers, potential moves, all rumor and conjecture right now, but some interesting stuff being batted around.
No, absolutely, yeah. People, it's that time of year, right, where if you have a lack of information here more than a month away from the draft, there's speculation that goes on, and people want to guess at what's going on and maybe what they should do, but in reality, there's so many different things that go into it. If you want to take the New Orleans Pelicans, for example, we don't have any clarification on the intentions of Anthony Davis. Would he be willing to play for Zion Williams? At this moment in time, no, it does not seem like he's altered its stance whatsoever and wants to continue to be moved. That's what him and his agent, Rich Paul, who also reps LeBron James, are really urging the New Orleans Pelicans to do. But Pelicans now have an outstanding executive, David Griffin, former general manager of the Cavs, now running that organization. And he's a guy, I think, if he can change AD's mind at all, it's going to be him. But I really doubt that could happen at this point in time. They seem really particular about staying there. And in terms of the Pacers, they could go so many different routes. But I think, first of all, it goes on about what guys they can retain. And that obviously starts with Bojan Bogdanovic. And then what do you do about the point guard spot?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions coming up. And then we still don't know how quickly that Victor Oladipo is going to be coming back. I know he's working hard to get back, but that was a pretty severe injury he suffered.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just us, even the team, admittedly, and Victor. They don't know. Now, from what I've been told, he's doing well and excelling down in Miami and ahead of schedule, but what is that exactly worth here 4 months out of surgery? It's not like he's running up and down the court, dunking and sprinting and those sorts of things. And Victor's game is dependent on his acceleration, his quick stops, his sudden burst, his slicing through the lane. And we're probably not going to have an answer to some of that till August, till maybe even September. And so the Pacers and their front office at this point have some information, but they're going to have even more. They're hoping here in a little bit more than a month as they head into the draft and then free agency, because that should dictate a little bit what they do. If they get word, you know what, it's not looking good for Victor, and maybe he'll miss half the season or more than half the season or all this season, let's say, then that's got to alter where they're going. Now, I don't expect any of that necessarily, but those are the things that they have to plan out, plan A, B, C, D, etc.
I'm talking with Scott Agness from The Athletic. And I mentioned earlier, you'll be heading up to the draft combine today to check that out. What are you expecting to see? What are some of the things you're wanting to see? And that sounds like a fun thing to be doing today.
No, absolutely. We'll be there for a couple of days. For the NBA, these prospects and scouts and agents and everybody, they've been up there all week long. For example, late last night, for example, for about 2 or 3 hours, there's a period where teams can meet with guys for about 15, 20 minutes, I believe it is, and then move on to the next guy. Very much like the NFL scouting combine that's held here in Indianapolis. This is just the NBA version. But now on Thursday and Friday here, media is allowed to sit in on these workouts. So for one, you got the measurables, the wingspan, the weight, the standing long jump, those sorts of things that can be tested, and body fat, all those things. And then some guys will participate in a little scrimmage. There's those interviews that are ongoing the rest of the week, and other guys will just sit out, and they're there maybe to just have conversations. There's been guys that have already reportedly left, which usually suggests they've got a guarantee to be taken in the lottery. So very interesting times. One thing I'm certainly looking forward to, Jim, is hopefully running into Frank Vogel, who's just named the Lakers head coach, and I obviously have a long-standing relationship with him, which goes back to early 2000s when he came here with Jim O'Brien, I think in maybe 2007 as an assistant coach. Now the Lakers coach, and things get interesting.
Yeah, the last time you were on, we were talking about, well, Frank wasn't the coach yet. We were talking about that situation out there, but how weird it was. But also, getting back to the draft combine, Romeo will be up there, and I saw a thing about him. They're really trying to, his agent's really working overtime. They're trying to get the word out. I saw the latest thing that, hey, I'm not the shy person that you may think that I am, and this thing is, which is kind of funny because they've kind of banked up until this point on him just being a very subdued, I don't want to say shy, but a very subdued type of personality.
I think that's what he is, and that's not a fault. There's many guys that are that way. You telling me you don't want Kawhi Leonard because he's very subdued and doesn't show much emotion? Not at all. I think that's something you want to have noted in an understanding of an individual. Maybe one's super emotional, like we saw tears from Joel Embiid over the weekend. That's who he is. It's not a negative necessarily. It could be. But the other thing, more than anything, Jim, I think, is they're trying to stress his shooting, how much perhaps that injury, both to his back and to his finger, I think it was his thumb actually, impacted maybe the way he scored and shot the ball, because he's got to be able to shoot at this next level. He's got to be able to knock down the mid-range, and especially from three-point arc. And if he was a outstanding three-point shooter, to me he's a no-brainer lottery pick, but did not shoot it well. And we know he can score, but will that translate at that next level, right? When you have bigger trees in there and with this pace and space game, those are the type of things I'm more interested in than, is he going to smile after a big bucket or is he going to celebrate?
Yeah, I've always said that, hey, having that personality that allows you to remain calm, that's a positive, man, because you're not going to be up and down, back and forth. You're going to be pretty level, even keeled. But it seems like I think they're trying to get out in front of the not being the alpha dog kind of, or whatever it is that they're trying to do.
What this reminds me of, Jim, is during the 2006 I want to say. No, 2015. 2016 was Thad Young. During that 2015 draft, Miles Turner's agent hired these biomechanics, these trainers, to study the way in which he runs. There was a lot of criticism about the way Miles Turner ran and whether that would make for a shorter NBA career. And the results turned back, yeah, he's a little awkward, but there's nothing to it. But those are the type of things not only do the individuals have to be put through, but agents are suggesting, and teams, and they want to gather as much info as they can.
Absolutely. Well, and I don't think Romeo's going to be doing his shooting because I think he's still wearing the cast the last time I saw, or the brace, whatever.
I saw a photo of him interviewed on NBA TV this week, and the cast was off. Now, maybe he's in a temporary cast, or maybe it's gone for good. I will find out tomorrow afternoon. He's scheduled to talk with the media around 4:45 in the afternoon, Indianapolis time. So I'm hoping to talk with some of them over the next couple of days. A lot of guys of interest, whether it's Kyle Guy, whether it's Chris Wilkes, local guys and the guys that played at Indiana colleges, even Carson Edwards from Purdue.
Absolutely. You can follow him at Scott Agnes on Twitter, or you can catch him right here each week. Scott, I cannot thank you enough, man. Have a great time up in Chicago. Look forward to talking to you about it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Jim. We'll talk soon.
You bet, man. Have a great day. Scott Agnes from The Athletic joining us here. We'll be back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This is former Indiana basketball player Greg Graham. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Making sense of it all takes a whole lot of concentration.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat here as always. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Just finished up with Scott Agnes. Love having Scott on. We can talk about a myriad of things. He's heading up to the NBA Draft Combine today up in Chicago. Romeo Langford, the only Hoosier that'll be taking part of that. And he's still rehabbing his thumb, so not sure what all he'll be doing. But Corey Evans, recruiting analyst for Rivals, took a question was taking questions, and someone asked him, did Archie Miller's inability to use Romeo Langford hurt him with other elite recruits? And his response was, that might seem to be the case, thanks to the Hoosiers' recent misses on Lester Quinones, Ethan Morton, and Harlan Beverly. But it is more of a coincidence. Would it have been great if Romeo Langford established himself as an alpha at Bloomington, which goes back to the piece that just came out about Romeo, and led the Hoosiers to the NCAA tournament? Sure, as it would have been relieved some pressure on Archie Miller and give him some of his staff another strong selling point to pitch to future five-star targets. But in the end, those guys went a different direction. So that's just that's a viewpoint from the national scene. Now, getting back to the mock drafts, the latest ones I've seen have Romeo going anywhere from 15 on to 15
The 15th spot right now is Detroit. And that's a very real possibility. A few texts into the show. From Tim, I saw Freddie McSwain's NBL team was headed to the finals in Canada's National Basketball League. Freddie McSwain, we've had Freddie on. Freddie's a tough interview, man. That was one of the toughest interviews I've done because he gives very short answers. And it's like, man, I was running out of questions. But we may have Freddie on again in the near future.
I saw some of his highlights from that league, and his game has changed a lot. Like he's very, very dynamic now. I mean, when he played in Indiana, I mean, you knew what you were going to get with Fred. He's going to play hard and grab boards, but now he's shooting threes and hitting them and attacking the basket a whole lot more. I mean, it was...
That's a perfect example. That's called player development. And when people keep saying that Romeo Langford's not ready for the NBA, he's not ready. He's not ready. And I keep asking the same question. What is he not ready for? Is he not ready to go get the best training in the world at his craft? Is he not ready to not have to go to school and to focus only on basketball? Is he not ready to get paid millions of dollars? What is it exactly he's not ready for? I think everybody views that you have to, if you leave, you have to start in the NBA. No, you don't. They're not drafting him as a starter. I'm not saying he won't, but that's not their goal. It's not their end game is to draft him as a day one starter in the next season. It's to do exactly what Jake's talking about with Freddie McSwain. Develop players. Player development. Make them better. And the folks in the NBA, well, they think that they could do a better job of it than the staff at Indiana or wherever else it may have been. But with this case, it happens to be Indiana. But they think they could do a better job developing him than had he stayed in school another year. And I think that they know their business more than most people do, so I'm going to go with that. But that's a perfect example of, again, people, he's not ready. What's he not ready for? What is he not ready for? All you see is everybody says, oh, he's not ready. He's not. What is he not ready for? Cracks me up. Text in the show asking, how's Darius Garland so high in the draft? Well, because I assume that all the powers that be in the NBA, the GMs, the scouts, that's where they think he is worthy of going. His game.
It's all potential, man. I mean, it's...
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what you do in... I mean, it does matter what you do in college, but, I mean, if
how many people, when Greg Oden went, did you hear anybody saying he's not ready? No. Because they drafted on his potential.
He also dominated in college when he played, so.
True. That's true. Good point. Bad example. He got hurt. He had suffered too many injuries. Speaking of him, Mike Conley's still playing. Mike Conley's still going, man. High school teammates. Both went to Ohio State, unfortunately, instead of staying in the state. He's at Memphis, which is... They have the number 2 pick. They're expected to take Ja Morant. Kind of maybe a passing of the torch over the next 2 years. He's got 2 years. Mike Conley's got 2 years left on his, I think it was a $140 million contract over 4 years. He good. He's like that guy from Quentin Williams from Alabama. I'm good. But yeah, it's about potential, man. It's all about potential. And they see, even though Romeo didn't shoot the ball very well, they think that they can fix that because he has his athletic ability he's uber talented.
They've seen what the parts of his game that is there already. Well, they think they can fix the other part. He's too athletically gifted to not be good. He is good. Does he have parts of his game that needs to be much better? Absolutely. And he received a lot of hype. Probably more than he should have. That's not his fault. Now, could he have benefited from another year in college? Of course he could have, from a maturity standpoint. But when you're looking at $20 million, I wait. Why?
Would you turn that down?
Hell no. Not no, but hell no. And I wouldn't, if it was my child, I would not recommend that they turn it down. Now, of course, I would have the conversations with everybody that need to be had the conversation with, but you've got to look what he's dealing with right now. Injury to his thumb. Okay. What if it was what if this was Victor Oladipo, the injury that Victor Oladipo's dealing with? Let me ask you this. If he suffered that injury in college last year, do you think that Romeo Langford would be a first-round draft projection right now?
He'd probably still be a lottery pick, to be honest. Well, I mean, look at Darius Garland.
I'm talking about with the injury that Victor's injury was much more severe than Darius Garland's.
I guess. I mean,
I'm talking about the severity of the injury, not just an injury, and maybe that wasn't a great example, but I'm talking about a severe injury because I think Victor's is pretty severe injuries. We talked about that briefly with Scott.
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends.
But I know what you're saying.
Michael
that
Porter
he wouldn't
Jr.
have had a bad season. Had he been injured, he wouldn't have had a bad season, and his stock wouldn't have dropped so much. But he could have hurt himself. Yeah. That's why you don't pass it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why. So I get it. I mean, you go to college to get education, to get a job. Well, he's on the accelerated program. And he's going to make more money than most 10 people you know combined over a lifetime. So no, you don't pass it up. You don't. I mean, again, could he benefit from a year in college, maturity-wise? Of course. Who couldn't? Who couldn't? But you don't pass that up, man. You just don't. And it's about potential. It's not. They're not expecting him to start tomorrow. He may very well do that, but I'm just saying that's not what it's about. Darius Garland's game, it's a different game. He's a point guard, and they saw what I think they needed to see. Again, same. It's all based on projection. It's all based on projection. Tim texted in that where I lost it. I don't know what the heck. Oh, I hate those texts when they don't come up in order. They come in so quick, I can't keep up with them. Now I can't even get to it. Sorry about that. I think he was talking about Romeo's shooting percentages, 66% from the two. Well, yeah, that's because every shot was at the rim. He was able to dominate in high school. He will not be able to do that at the NBA level. So while those numbers are nice, that's not really.
Could be valuable, though. I mean, getting to the rim and getting fouled. I mean, that's 50%
big part of the
James
game.
Harden's game. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
So I mean,
it's scoring if you can do that. But I'm going to say he's not going to have that much. He's not going to have a 66%
success rate in the NBA.
Right, yeah.
I mean, they're not. First of all, you're not going to get the calls that he got in high school or college. I mean, you go in there against Draymond Green, those kind of guys. This is a different story now. These are men. These are men. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for today. Look forward to tomorrow. Todd Leary's going to be on with us as always. Tonight, out at the BART, Indiana takes on Rutgers. We'll have complete coverage of that tomorrow for you as well. Thanks a lot for being with us today. For Jake, I'm Jim Coyle, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, and I'll be back tomorrow with more on Indiana Sports Beat, and I will see you on the radio.